Hello friends, Tim here again with another quick video game countdown. Video game bosses are designed to challenge us and sometimes scare us, but there are some bosses that stand out above the others. These bosses are so terrifying or frustrating that we remember them even years later. Thankfully not all video game bosses are like this, but there are plenty that are. Here are 10 of the scariest video game bosses to ever exist. So far anyway.
Number 10.
Slender Man. Slender, the Arrival. If for some reason you don't know what Slender Man is, he's a tall figure that stalks the player and kills them whenever the player is too close. The original game was simple but made Slender Man terrifying, and the sequel was even better. In Slender, the Arrival, the faceless tall man has much more depth and reason to his actions, which make him much scarier. He stalks, he kills, he kidnaps, and he turns people into slaves to hunt down the player. There's no real way to defeat him completely in the game, but the player does beat him at several points in the game as they escape from him. If there was a real way to fight with him, then he would have ranked much higher on this list.
Number 9.
Eddie Glueskin, the Groom. Outlast Whistleblower. While the Groom is more of a mini-boss, he's still absolutely terrifying. Eddie Glueskin is introduced in the DLC for Outlast. He's a serial killer with a history of abuse, and being forced into experiments at the asylum didn't help him at all. Instead, he's hell-bent on turning the male protagonist into his wife to have children with him. His final scene shows the full scope of his madness, and the high number of failed wives. He's truly a terrifying foe.
Number 8.
Gaping Dragon, Dark Souls. The Dark Souls series is certain on a list like this one, but this boss is something special. When it first starts to appear, it doesn't look so bad compared to the previous bosses faced by the player, but once it's risen completely, it quickly turns into a well, I'm screwed moment. This optional boss looks like it was crafted from nightmares, with its own rib cage being split into a large mouth and its ability to spit acid. This abomination is easily one of the scariest bosses around.
Number 7.
The Thorian, Mass Effect. This boss is a very unique plant with telepathic abilities that include mind control. It releases spores into the air which allows a Thorian to control whatever inhales the spores. To make this worse, the plant uses pain to control its victims and turn them into slaves. The plant can also create zombies which will hibernate if there is no enemy near them, and to make it even worse, the Thorian vomits out clothes of its humanoids it captured. This is definitely a nightmare fuel boss.
Number 6.
Crocomire, Super Metroid. The Crocomire is a mini-boss which is difficult to kill. Normal weapons do not affect the boss, but shooting him in the mouth does knock him back several steps. The fight is a tug-of-war style one, where the Crocomire must be pushed back into the lava, while the boss tries to push the player back into spikes. When the boss dies, it unleashes a terrible scream, and then rises from the lava as a skeleton in one final attempt to take Samus with it.
Number 5.
The Keeper, Evil Within. It's not too certain if he just wears a safe on his head, or if his head is the safe. Either way, the Keeper looks pretty scary. He wields a meat tenderizing hammer that has a spike on the other end, and in his other hand he holds a sack filled with brains. To make him an even more terrifying opponent, he has several insta-kill moves and a high number of lethal attacks. Getting too close to this guy is almost certain death, and this brutal boss never quite stays dead, no matter how many times you kill him.
Number 4.
Legion, Castlevania, Symphony of Night. This boss has been in various games from the Castlevania series, but the first game it appears in portrays it in its horrifying light it deserved. The boss has an outer shell which is formed of hundreds of humanoid bodies, which protects the core. In this game it can attack by dropping bodies which will walk towards the player and attack them. If the player is close to an undamaged part of the shell, it may scream and rain bodies down on the player. When the shell is destroyed, powerful lasers are fired from the tentacles of the core, which are difficult to avoid. Not only does this boss look horrifying, it is also immensely difficult to kill.
Number 3.
Mother, House of the Dead, Overkill. This has got to be one of the scariest bosses in existence, and combined with the after-fight cutscene, it's truly disturbing. The Mother is a giant mutant with mounds of flesh for hair, and a large tongue that hangs from her mouth. She is able to create mutants which are released from a tube. She looks terrifying and the fight is intense. However, after the battle, the main villain decides to make things right by crawling inside his giant mutated mother's womb to die. The entire thing is pretty disturbing, and this is truly a memorable boss.
Number 2.
Pyramid Head, Silent Hill 2. This guy is one of the most iconic beings in video games, and is certainly for the Silent Hill series. The image of a tall, muscular human with a sharp-edged triangle on his head is an easy one to remember. He also wields a large knife or spear to attack the player with. He doesn't just harm the player though, he seems to take advantage of other monsters, as his attacks are so sexually suggestive that there's no doubt in what he's supposed to be doing. The idea of Pyramid Head is a terrifying one, and it's no wonder he's made several returns to the series.
Number 1.
Gygas, Earthbound. Despite being mentioned throughout the game, he was never shown to the player, and his unveil is rather unsettling. His lair seems to be constructed by some kind of organic tissue where the machine that holds him can be found. This machine is even shaped like a cervix, and once Gygas is freed, the screen is covered in black and red patterns, which depict a young boy. There is literally no way to defeat this all-powerful boss. Instead, the player must try and keep their party alive long enough as another character prays. Everything about this boss was perfect, which is why this boss is regarded as one of the scariest video game bosses to ever exist.
Previously on Mario Mayhem. If you could create a silly video game weapon, what would it be?
Today the Luigi clap goes to SSJ99 Lucario for this Coke and Mentos weapon idea. It seems fitting as I hear old Lucario once tried this combo at home and blew his own hat off. So that's pretty good as well as this comment. And today we will leave you with the question, what do you think the scariest video game boss would be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and the best, most creative answer will be featured in one of our next videos. And that's it for today, friends. I hope you enjoyed these scary video game bosses and things. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video with your friends, keep those comments and likes coming, and I'll catch you soon.